First things in the morning, waking up with dawn. As the sun is on the rise, he'll open up your eyes with things you want to see. Stories that are various, hosted by Don Arias, make great morning TV.
We're here with Colonel Brian Johnson from the 601st Air Operations Center at Tyndall Air Force Base. They have a very important mission, protecting us, from air attack, from people who would do us harm. But they have one other thing that they do around the holiday season. And what's that, Colonel Johnson?
Well, this time of year we get very excited about the opportunity to track Santa as he visits kids throughout the world and delivers toys.
No, wait a minute. Santa's real?
Absolutely, he's real.
Okay, and you guys track him. How do you do that?
We do. Well, NORAD has been around for a long time. About 1958 was when it was formed between the U.S. and Canada, and it's for the air defense of the United States and Canada, for all of North America. And they formed that agreement back in the Cold War days, and they had lots of radar systems they set up to detect aircraft or missiles that would be flying toward the United States and Canada. What they discovered, quite by accident, was when Santa takes off from the North Pole, they actually could track him as he starts his journey throughout the world. And we've kept up that tradition through today.
Because basically, he's flying through our airspace, and you guys have to keep track of everything that flies in our airspace.
That's correct. We keep track of everything that approaches North America. We do airspace warning, airspace control, and we do maritime warning as well. So we do keep track of some of the ship traffic up at NORAD. They do that mission as well. But primarily here at Tyndall, we look at the air tracks that are coming from outside North America and making sure that they're identified properly, that we know who they are. And we've got lots of partners around the world that we cooperate with to accomplish that mission.
I understand Santa's going to get a fighter escort.
He probably will. We try and do that when he does come to the U.S. and Canada. Typically, the Canadians will go up and meet him with the CF-18 Hornets, and the United States, we have F-15s, F-16s, and F-22s. They usually just go up and say hi, kind of tip the wing to him as he approaches.
Well, it's good that they have him under protection, too, because you never know. There's bad guys out there that may not like Christmas. And they may not like Santa.
That could be.
I mean, they're out there.
He's been pretty safe for a long time, but we'll help him out if we can.
Well, that's awesome stuff. Now, what else goes on out there at the 601st?
Well, I mentioned that we do the aerospace control and air sovereignty for all of North America. Now, here we have the continental United States NORAD region. So we have 3 different regions in NORAD, which is a North American Aerospace Defense Command. And there's an Alaska NORAD region, the Canadian NORAD region, and we are the continental U.S. NORAD region. So we have 2 air defense sectors that work for us as well, the Eastern Air Defense Sector out in New York and the Western Air Defense Sector. And
they're all involved in tracking Santa, right? I mean, everybody has a part of this, right?
Absolutely.
So even the Eastern Air Defense Sector up there in Rome, New York, they're going to keep an eye out for Santa. And also, welcome back to Waking Up with Don. We're talking with Colonel Brian Johnson from the 601st Air Operations Center about how you can help track Santa. How do kids do this? I mean, how can we look over your shoulder and see how, if you're doing your job right, tracking Santa and making sure he makes his rounds? Sure.
Well, I mentioned before that we have radars that are set up all around the North American continent, and they feed into the air defense sectors, which comes down into the Air Operations Center. Obviously, we can't put those out to the general public, so what we do is that's all translated into a website, which is www.noradsanta.org. If you go to that website, you can see all kinds of great stuff. There's games on there. There's a different game every day. There's lots of information about NORAD, information about Santa, sleigh, and everything that you can imagine on there. But there's also a way that people can watch some videos, and they can actually see where Santa is throughout his journey as he travels the world.
So on Christmas Eve, we can click, 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 and see what's going on and see Santa making his rounds.
Absolutely, and that's just one way that you can track him. There's also a phone number that you can call. You can call 1-877-HI-NORAD, and you'll get one of the volunteers. I'll answer the phone, and they'll give you.
You mean one of the elves?
Well, no, it's actually going to be one of the military personnel in NORAD. They volunteer their time during this time of year. There's about 1,250 people that go into the effort, all volunteer time. They come in on their days off, just so they can answer the phones, tell kids where Santa is, and they'll also answer emails as well. And that email address is NORAD Tracks Santa at outlook.com. So if you send an email, you'll get a response and they'll let you know where he is. Or you can call them on the phone and they'll answer your question.
Isn't technology great? Because now we can have maximum contact with Santa. We can watch him at noradsanta.org. We can watch him do his rounds. We can send him an email, and we can even call and get an update from the people at NORAD as to where he is.
Absolutely, and if you've got a smartphone, there are also apps out there that you can download. Just go to whatever your app store is, and you can just search for NORAD Tracks Santa, and you can download an app, and you can get the same information that way.
I don't want you to give up any military secrets or anything, but how does he get down that skinny chimney?
Well, you know, just like kids have to be sleeping before Santa actually arrives at the house, if you try and watch what Santa does, he won't do it. So we've had spies out there that have tried to look and see how exactly he gets down the chimney. We've never actually been able to observe that. Our intel guys have been working this for years, and they haven't come up with a good answer yet.
Because he's a pretty chubby guy.
He's a pretty good sized guy.
And some of these chimneys are pretty small.
Yeah, they are. Now, you know, that's not the only way he can get into a house, of course. So, you know, we don't want the kids to get nervous. So if there's, you know, no chimney on your house, it's okay. You know, but if you think about when the reindeer come in and they land on the roof, the closest way into the house is going to be the chimney. He's got a lot of houses to visit on Christmas Eve, so he's got to get around as quickly as he can. Quickest way is down through the chimney, but if you don't have one, he can still use doors.
Is he going to go to other places, like say in the Middle East? Is Santa going to make it to the Middle East?
Absolutely, and that's something that you can track. Starting in the morning on Christmas Eve, of course, Santa travels, you know, nighttime. He typically arrives, you know, somewhere between 9 o'clock at night, maybe midnight, maybe a little bit later at night, depending on how late the kids stay up. But he travels throughout the world. So obviously he's going to start off at the North Pole, typically travels down through the Pacific. The elves, or I'm sorry, not the elves, but the reindeer are a little tired of all the cold. So typically he's going to go down to the South Pacific where it's a little warmer. Okay. Okay, they get warmed up a little bit. They'll go back up into Asia, cool off a little bit there. They'll go back down into Southern Asia and Europe and down into Africa, and they kind of crisscross the world throughout that.
Does he file a flight plan with you guys?
No, he doesn't. He's been doing this for a long time, and he kind of goes where he wants to go. I'm not exactly sure, you know, how he decides the exact routing that he's going to take, but we try and watch him, and we've got some great partners with the Federal Aviation Administration, so we'll give them some updates as well. They can kind of clear all the air traffic out of his way just to make his trip as quick and painless as possible.
You're watching Waking Up with Don, and I'm speaking with Colonel Brian Johnson from the 601st Air Operations Center at Tyndall Air Force Base.